I'm over here now.
Talking about the issues you care about. Guy Benson.
Back here together on the Guy Benson Show, GuyBensonShow.com, our podcast always free. I am privileged and honored and frankly thrilled to welcome back to the show from our New York headquarters, the one, the only, Kennedy, Fox News cultural icon, host of Kennedy Saves the World, the podcast, wildly popular, foxnewspodcast.com. Follow her at Kennedy Nation on social. Kennedy, it is so good to have you.
Guy Benson, the goodness is on this side of the microphone. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Well, I'll take it. I'm not sure if that's an insult or a compliment, but I'm gonna spin that into a compliment. And speaking of compliments, before we do anything else, I know that you have now made this public. You are engaged to be married to an incredible person. Your person, Yay. Who I've had the amazing opportunity to know now for a number of years. I did not know this was coming. Were you surprised?
I was totally surprised, and that's what made it so insanely special. And when he proposed, I just kept squealing, is this real? Is this really happening? And he was kind of laughing. He's like, yes, but now you have to give me an answer. And I was like, yes, emphatically. Undeniably. And it was such a beautiful moment. It was such a beautiful surprise. And it was the kind of thing where we couldn't have planned the moment. You know, he had an amazing backdrop, but the way it all unfolded, it was one of those things where...
Can you give us the play-by-play?
Yes. So I went to the Fox News Christmas party, which was super fun. And he was texting me. He's like, come have dinner with me. So I went and had dinner with him and some friends, and it was amazing. Like it was one of those dinners where everyone was in a great mood. The food was incredible. It was so nice. And I was like, I love my work colleagues, but you know, this really makes my night. And we were heading home, and he said, let's stop by the Lottie Palace on Madison Avenue and go look at their tree. They've got a really beautiful Christmas tree. And I was like, what a nice idea. That's so beautiful. Like it was such a romantic, thoughtful thing for us, you know, to take just a sliver out and enjoy Christmas time in New York, which is so magical. And we go to the courtyard with this beautiful, unbelievable Christmas tree that is so incredibly lit up. It is so picturesque with St. Patrick's in the background. And all of a sudden, it was just the two of us. And it was nothing that he had done. He didn't clear out the courtyard.
It was fortuitous.
Yes, and there was Christmas music playing, and he slipped that bauble onto my finger, and it was one of the most beautiful, stunning moments where time absolutely stood still.
Did he get on a knee?
Well, he was in a very expensive suit, and it was raining, so he got into a deep squat. It was
close enough.
It was like a lunge. And that's what made it so impressive.
And did it just hit you all of a sudden, all at once? Oh, my gosh, this is happening?
Yes, and that's why I kept saying, like, is this really happening?
Is it real?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. And so I will say, to surprise you takes some doing, right? Because you're a pretty sharp observer of things. You don't get much past Kennedy, in my experience. So that is an achievement. Then I also did see the photograph and the rock, so well done, sir.
Well done, sir,
on the ring
indeed.
as well.
I was like, wow. Yeah, and he did it all himself. Like, he didn't measure. There were no specific requests.
Look at him.
Yeah.
Look
and I was
at
like,
him.
My goodness.
So you had no inkling. There were no hints. He played it totally cool and stunned you.
Yes, and it was funny because he had it for a few weeks and was just waiting for the right moment. So he thought earlier in the week when the girls and I were going to pick out a Christmas tree, we couldn't all four get together because one daughter was working, the other had Model UN, so it became an impossibility. And I didn't know what he was. So I was like, it's okay. Let's just go get it ourselves. And he's like, no, we all need to go get the tree.
Oh, that was the plan A.
Yes. And just couldn't get it. So he was like, I got to do this. I got to lone wolf it.
And he apparently has done spectacularly well. Have you just had an afterglow about you for the ensuing weeks?
Yes, it's been so much fun. It's been really, really fun. And he is so smart. He's so good at planning. And he also, he indulges when he knows that I have something in mind, something I'm picturing. Like, he brings it to life.
And you sometimes jokingly refer to him publicly as your sexy teenage boyfriend. I just want the audience to know that he is, in fact, age appropriate for
But
Kennedy.
now I refer to him as my sexy teenage fiance.
Exactly. That's the title change. Right?
Or the other day I was talking with Caroline Sunshine, and we were talking about West Pointers. And I said, well, I'm sleeping with a West Pointer. And
your
she was like,
fiance.
huh.
Yeah, no, I'm engaged to him. Don't worry, Caroline. And so when you sent me, with no context, you just sent me the photo of you guys hugging and you showing the ring, I actually gasped and then screamed.
Oh.
And then I immediately sent it to Adam, who you called Dreamboat, and then was texting with Kat Timpf, and we were both like doing a happy dance. And without getting too much into it, can we just say that we will all be celebrating together the engagement very, very soon in a very, very special place?
Yes, we will.
I am looking so forward to that, and we will share more about that with the audience sometime coming up. And I also heard just a little bit of a rumor from a birdie about your wedding plans, and therefore texted you because I am such a type A planner that the second there might be a date on the calendar, I'm like, hang on a second, I must spring into action. So I text him like, is this true? Are my sources accurate? And they are. And so I will be working on not missing, let's call it what it is, the wedding of the year. That's what this is going to be later in 2026. And it's going to be, by the way, I had talked to Dreamboat a few times. He's like, when do you think they're going to actually get married? This was after the engagement. I said, I don't know. I had no idea about the timeline. He said, where do you think they're going to go? And I said one word as an answer, and I'm just going to say I was 100% right.
That's right.
Called that one.
Yeah, you knew.
I knew, and now I will work to, come hell or high water, I've got to be there. And by the way, I was texting you all these questions and all these logistical things, and then on text message 7, I was like, by the way, I hope I didn't overstep by assuming I'm invited.
That is, because what if it was like,
it's actually just 6 people.
Yeah.
It's just a family affair, and I had been asking you, peppering you with all these questions. You're like, so now you have all the info, but you're not going to come, as it turns out. That would have been very awkward. But I jumped to the conclusion that I might be included because, after all, you married me, by which I mean you officiated my wedding.
I married you.
And I just want to make it clear, publicly available information now, Kat Timpf and Guy Benson have now officially offered to co-officiate your wedding, if asked, of course. We will not force ourselves on you. But because you officiated both of our weddings, we felt like we should at least offer to return the favor. You can mull that over. No rush, Kennedy. I do want to turn.
The offer expires at midnight.
The offer does expire actually at the very end of this segment. We're up on a hard break, actually, so make a choice. Say it now. Let's talk about California, where a state that you love in so many ways, a state where you have a beautiful home that means very much to your family. We've talked about this. It miraculously survived the fires, but deeply contaminated, so much of the neighborhood devastated at the beginning of last year. You were just out there in your neighborhood attending a protest, which you don't do every day. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, so there was a big rally, and the name of the rally was They Let Us Burn. And that is the sentiment of so many people living or no longer living in Pacific Palisades because their homes burned to the ground. And, now that we've had a year to look back and gather information, it's really what happened. They let us burn. They let our community burn. And I was with Trace Gallagher doing a walk around the neighborhood, and I showed him some of the places that were the most dear and the most important to me and my family, and they're gone. It's like my daughter's preschool, their elementary school, part of the high school, my best friend's house, all of this stuff. And it's interesting because everyone is in a different state of repair or rebuilding or permitting, depending on how intent they are on moving back to Pacific Palisades, which I was heartened to hear is a large number of people. And, for people who were able to go through the remediation process, which is essentially the cleanup and decontamination.
Right.
There are people in my neighborhood who have moved back in. One of my neighbors, her house didn't test as badly as my house and my next door neighbor's house, so she paid for it herself because the insurance company is dragging its feet. Now, our insurance company, we had Geico. They sent us these, incomprehensible emails. They have no rhyme or reason. They don't answer basic questions. And then they are trying to change the facts, which is all obviously an attempt to delay the whole process. And so what they're doing with people like me is hoping that they confuse us and delay long enough that we will settle for pennies on the dollar. Yeah, and it's like, we're not giving up. We're fighting. We're fighting for our neighborhood. We're fighting to clean our home, to gut it and make it safe, because any one of those people from Geico or Home Site, as the subsidiary of Geico is called, that actually handles the home claims, they wouldn't let a pregnant woman live in that house. They wouldn't let young children or an immunocompromised grandparent live in that house, or any of that. Our next door neighbors, their house tested positive for arsenic, and that's in addition to the ash, soot, and lead. And you have to drastically remediate homes like that, and they should, because that's what we pay for. That's what our policy says that we are.
That's the point of insurance.
Entitled to, yes. So that would be like needing surgery and the surgeon going, well, I don't know if a burst appendix really needs to come out so much. We have a bunch of other organs. So
nonsense. And so you're getting this failure and this frustration deeply on the insurance side after all the failures that we saw at the governmental level, and the lack of preparedness and the lack of water and all of that. And here we are with this paltry number of buildings even underway in terms of the rebuilding process. And yet, and we talked about this a little bit, Kennedy, you saw, I'm sure, Governor Newsom do a weird quasi-victory lap during the one-year anniversary about all the great progress that has been made on debris removal, like, look at us and how great we've been. And then Mayor Bass was out there also, thumping on her chest and talking about, the community and lighting up City Hall a certain color in solidarity and all of that. As we learned, by the way, that the official report into the failures was edited and watered down to make things less politically painful and accountable for the people who failed. I mean, it's one thing to face all the failures and be victimized by it, but then have the people in charge pretending like they've done well a year removed with all the failure still on display. I mean, that has to send you through the roof.
Yeah, so, when I go in through the back door of my house, there's still just black granular ash everywhere. Like, nothing has been cleaned. And I'm like,
a year later.
This is a year later. And it's so much worse. Like, she has been caught on camera saying, we dropped the ball in the Palisades. It's our fault. She didn't know that she was being recorded. But, yeah, it is their fault. And they shouldn't be taking a victory lap because everyone is still displaced. And, it's like people will trickle in because they are so determined to reconnect with the community that they love. And that is a force that Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass didn't realize they were reckoning with.
Meanwhile, out in California, there's this wealth tax that has been proposed and is moving forward. Gavin Newsom now is sort of rushed out to say, oh, never mind, we can't have this. It's too damaging. I mean, it is extremely damaging, but there's no terrible idea ever too terrible, at least on the left-wing side of things, for California. So they've been pushing this, and a bunch of extremely wealthy people, job creators, huge elements of the tax base, have already publicly announced their departure from the state because of this confiscation scheme that's been floated and moved forward. I mean, Kennedy, we've seen wealth taxes fail miserably in places like Europe, where they get implemented, they backfire, they do not work, and in a lot of the places they actually get rescinded. They are such failures. And it was an even crazier idea in California where they were going to confiscate a portion of people's net worth. And a lot of the high net worth people were like, you know what? Screw that. I am out of here. I've suffered enough abuse. And I mean, I saw one headline that they had already $1 trillion worth of wealth announced that they were leaving because of this. It's like, congratulations on your big policy success, losing $1 trillion in wealth. It looks like Newsom may now finally belatedly get into this fight and try to kill it, but it's such an incredibly boneheaded, idiotic move, but it's, I guess, something that plays into their rhetoric about fair shares and that nonsense, no matter how disastrous the real world results are.
Yes, and it is a very base argument because what you're telling people is, whatever economic situation they're in, it's not their fault. It's the fault of rich people, that there's only one pie, and rich people have taken too much pie, too many slices. Therefore, there's very little left for you, which is actually not how wealth creation works. But wealth evaporation will work in the reverse, meaning when the wealth you depend on providing your tax base evaporates, then you have extremely high taxes on the people who can't afford to move out of the state. So essentially, you're punishing the middle class and demonizing them even more because you have invited, the 2% of people who pay 60% of the taxes to leave the state.
Yeah, and they're like, you know what? Sold. I will take you up on that opportunity if this is what you're going to do to me. The fact that they think that there
aren't places to go. Like, you can leave California, people are moving to Las Vegas. People are moving to Franklin, Tennessee. People are moving just outside of Austin. There are so many choices. So if your company says, hey, we are relocating, you don't think a family of four is looking at what they can get?
Well, especially an extremely wealthy family with all sorts of opportunities to go wherever they want. So, I mean, it's
but even the people who work at some of these companies.
Yeah, no, it is sub-moronic policy. And you know what? If they want to save some money, how about cutting down on the massive fraud? Why don't you start there? Clean up your own house in Sacramento.
That's
Kennedy,
racist.
gotta run. Congratulations again.
Thank
we
you,
love
Guy.
you, and we'll see you
Love you.
very soon. We'll be right back.
You are the best thing on the radio!